Budapest is defined by its pristine, classical beauty. Buildings like the Hungarian parliament project an image of imperial grandeur, setting a high expectation for the city's landmarks. But walk away from the river and into the historic Jewish quarter, and the wide boulevards give way to narrow, unassuming streets like Kazinkiutska. Here, behind this peeling, weathered facade, sits one of the most famous bars in the world, Szimpla Kert. It looks condemned, yet it draws nearly 1 million visitors every year. This physical contrast is the defining feature of a ruin bar. After World War II and decades of neglect, much of District 7 was left in disrepair, with dozens of buildings abandoned and signed for demolition. In the early 2000s, a group of students stepped in to save this specific building, a former stove factory, from being torn down. They transformed the derelict space into an underground hub for artists and creatives. To understand how a decaying factory became a global destination, you have to look past the late-night party reputation. Its true identity reveals itself when you examine its complete 24-hour cycle, beginning at 9 in the morning on a Sunday. Walk into the courtyard on a Sunday morning, and you won't find a hangover. You'll find a fast-paced farmer's market operating inside the graffiti-covered walls. Local vendors set up stalls selling fresh goat cheese, jars of honey, breads, and handcrafted goods. The crowd is a mix of young families and elderly neighborhood residents doing their weekly shopping. This daytime utility anchors the space to the people who actually live in the district. It creates a community-focused sanctuary that exists alongside its reputation as an international party hub. Upstairs, long communal tables host a Sunday brunch service. The kitchen uses the exact ingredients sold by the farmers downstairs, effectively building a grassroots microeconomy. Before a single drop of alcohol is poured for a tourist, this space functions as a neighborhood civic center. By mid-afternoon, the market clears out, leaving a quiet lull. This is the best time to see the true scale and labyrinthine layout of the factory. The interior is filled with eccentric decor. You'll find bathtubs turned into couches, old computer monitors hanging from the ceiling, and even a vintage Trabant car repurposed as a seating booth. This aesthetic wasn't planned by a design firm. The founders were university students operating with a budget of practically zero. To fill the massive rooms, they hauled in discarded trash and cheap vintage finds from local flea markets. This desperate move created a highly effective environment for urban exploration. The complex is divided into 8 themed rooms, each using recycled materials to create a world that feels entirely separate from the street outside. Because the environment is so unpolished, it invites active participation. Visitors are encouraged to leave their own mark, writing messages with marker pens across the already heavily graffitied walls. The makeshift design strips away the velvet ropes and VIP sections of a typical club. It rejects mainstream commercial aesthetics, creating a setting where everyone who walks through the door is on equal footing. Then the sun sets. The quiet artistic sanctuary morphs into a massive neon-soaked maze. The scale of the nighttime operation kicks in. 8 different bars open across the 2 floors, serving craft beer, wine, and cocktails, while live bands and DJs perform simultaneously in separate rooms. The crowd swells into a dense mix of local artists, students, and international travelers, all blending into a loud, energetic party that pushes toward 4 in the morning. At this hour, the venue operates on a massive commercial scale, hosting a globally recognized party from inside a structure that remains fiercely unpolished and independent. This success triggered a ripple effect. The ruin bar concept became a core part of the city's identity, spawning dozens of copycat venues that transformed the historic Jewish quarter into a sprawling party district. That boom brought severe growing pains. The neighborhood now struggles with rapid gentrification, noise complaints, and an influx of over-tourism driven by rowdy weekend stag parties. To survive the pressure, Szimpla Kert relies on strict internal rules. Management enforces a safe space policy to protect patrons and actively donates rooms to host events for local NGOs and community groups. Maintaining nonprofit activities, like the Sunday Farmers Market, isn't just for show. It is a deliberate tactic to preserve the venue's authentic culture amidst the commercialized nightlife operating just outside its doors. The venue demonstrates how urban decay can be repurposed into a sanctuary that functions as both a community anchor and a global destination. It stands as a reminder that with an open mind, a condemned factory can be saved to welcome the entire world.